watching us during the 4 o'clock news and politics hour. We have a lot going on, and it's a very political day. It's the State of the Union, and I've got the former campaign chair for President Donald Trump here in studio, Joe Trillo.
Hi, it's nice to see you, Kate.
Thanks for coming back. Take another little step over here. Big night tonight. You said you're going to take it in, probably at home. This is who you had campaigned for as chair here in Rhode Island. What do you expect to hear from the president tonight?
Well, I expect to hear him brag about what he's accomplished. And the reason I use the word brag is because the mainstream media has not, I don't believe, and you know, I should qualify this, because I think Rhode Island media has been pretty fair to him. It's the national media, it's NBC, MSNBC, CNN, the networks, the national networks have been very unfair to him this year. So I think this is an opportunity for him to address all the people in the country and really fill them in to some of the accomplishments that he's done this year. I think it's been an incredible year for him. And the big controversy around him as president seems to be style. And I tell people, you hired him to do a specific job for you. And think of all the people that you might hire to do jobs, everything from plowing your driveway or shoveling your walk or whatever. You hire them to do a job. Do you really have to be 100% happy with their style and what they say and what they do? So try to get past that. He's accomplishing a tremendous amount, and I hope he's going to talk about some of the things he's going to accomplish.
It's not been without a controversy this year, and of course the recent comments that he reportedly made in the meeting about people coming in from shithole countries. What have you talked about with folks regarding that particular incident as of late?
Well, I mean, it's kind of been probably a bad choice of words to use, but again, he said it in his office with a handful of people that he thought I obviously think he thought it wasn't going to get out of the office. You know, when you're president, you probably have to believe that you can't trust anybody. And if it wasn't for Dick Durbin, the Democrat, it probably wouldn't have got out of the office. That's assuming that he even said it. I don't even know he said it. So I'm going to accept the fact that people are accusing him of saying it and saying if he said it, he probably shouldn't have said it.
And of course, your decision to run as an independent for governor here in Rhode Island has been talked about. Talk with us about, again, that decision to sort of leave the Republican Party, if you will, and put that I next to your name.
Well, I've always felt, since Donald Trump came on the scene, that the party was becoming split. You had the mainstream Republicans and you had the Trump Republicans. Early on, this goes back to July of 2015, when there were 16 people in the race. I supported Donald Trump and I was named his honorary chairman. There was nobody else that was elected in Rhode Island that was supporting him. Everybody that's in the race now was on other candidates right up until election day, right up until he won the primary. And so the people that converted because they had to convert. Where I felt that I was a true believer in his message and I was going to support his message. So what happens is when you look at it now, a year later, the Republican Party is split. You have the mainstream Republicans, you have the Trump Republicans. The Trump Republicans, or the Trump Party, is made up of a lot of people. It's made up of mostly independents and very few Republicans and a lot of Democrats. So I felt that in order for me to run and get a fair race as Donald Trump's former chairman in Rhode Island, that the only way I could do this is to run as an independent. I'm hoping to get the Democratic support that he got. I'm hoping to get some of the unaffiliated support and certainly some Republican support. And that's the reason I made that decision.
And speaking of the GOP here in Rhode Island, looks like there's going to be a heated primary shaping up between Mayor Alan Fung, Patricia Morgan, potentially Giovanni Ferrosi. What do you take of the GOP primary?
You know, I wish them all well. I mean, I don't think anybody that's in that primary should get that heated up about it. You're saying heated up. I think they should go through the primary process, and they're fighting for the Republican vote. The Republican vote is 11% of the population
That's small.
in the state. It's very small, and may the better man come out as a winner. Good luck to all of them.
And what do you say to those who say Joe Trillo running as an independent, you just handed Gina Raimondo the next governorship?
And you know, I hear that all the time. If I thought that that's what I was doing, I'd get out of the race today. But I really believe that I can nibble away at Gina Raimondo's base, I can nibble away at the Republican base, and I can get that unaffiliated, independent voter who is tired of party politics as usual, and hopefully they will give me their support. But that's going to be based on my message. My message is going to be very different from the standard mainstream Republican message.
And talk with us a little bit about that. Again, you talk about Trump Republicans. Is it sort of an anti-establishment, if you will?
It's anti-establishment. It's against big government. It's like we need to make radical changes. We need to shed the image of a sanctuary state. We need to stop attracting illegal immigrants to Rhode Island and stop treating them like we really need them. Come in as many as you can. We need to close the candy store, Gina Raimondo, close it. You've given away enough in the last 4 years. It's time to stop the giveaway programs, and it's time to make people more accountable for everything. And we need to stop tying the hands of our police department. We need to change education. You know, let's talk about police. We have no respect for police anymore. The police are being treated by the Community Act in Providence that they passed, and we passed a similar piece of legislation statewide, where what we've done is we've tied their hands. We make it almost impossible for them to do a stop. You know, if a policeman today goes up to somebody and just says, "Hi, how are you doing?" in the routine course of his job, he has to fill out a police report. That's the kind of nonsense that's going on. And in terms of schools, the kids are running the schools. The kids can get a teacher removed from the classroom just by saying that the teacher looked at me the wrong way, for crying out loud. Talked to me, criticized me, hollered at me, put their arm on me, touched me. It's insane what's going on. It all needs to change. We need to start to go back to where the system worked. You know, we keep trying to reinvent it, make it new. We already know the way it worked. Go back and look at it. 20 years ago, it was working. 30 years ago, it was working even better. It's not rocket science, so we need to make a major course change.
What do you have to say to those that hear your message, hear you speak, and say, Joe Trillo, you're closed-minded. You're closed-minded to people coming here to the country. You must hear that a lot. Do you think that you're just not going to convince those folks?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to convince those folks. If you believe that our borders should be open and we should welcome every illegal immigrant we can in Rhode Island, and we should take our poverty rate, which we've gone from, this is not the poverty rate, but we've gone from 20% of our population needing public assistance to we're up to 30% needing public assistance, and we're climbing very fast. If you think we need to take more people in that need public assistance, then don't vote for me. You're not going to vote for me anyway. But if you're tired of seeing the direction that the state is going in and you think we need change, then I'm your guy.
So you've been on the trail, you've been talking with people. You've got a bunch of events coming up, including a national speaker coming in on Friday.
Right. I have Reverend Mark Burns. Reverend Burns was on the Trump Evangelical Council for President Trump during the campaign. He's a dynamic speaker. When you hear him speak, I mean, he's unbelievable. He tears down the room. He spoke at the Republican National Convention, and he's just amazing. He's going to come in and do an event. It's going to be at the Crown Plaza. It's this Friday night at 6:30. Tickets are available. They're free on my website at joetrilloforgovernor.com. And we welcome everybody that thinks they would enjoy listening to the Reverend speak. We welcome them to come to this event.
And what's next in the campaign trail? Can you divulge?
I try not to give out my campaign.
But that's why I have you in here. Give me the plan.
No, we're working every day on this. As a matter of fact, people say to me, how much time do you spend? I'm spending about 12 hours a day working on the campaign, and it's not just planning events. It's setting up the structure and doing what needs to be done in order to move a campaign forward.
And what are we going to see from campaign finance for the filing upcoming?
You're going to see a very weak report, because this last quarter I was on the fence about leaving the party. And once I finally made that decision, I was totally unable to go out and ask for money, not knowing, I didn't want to deceive people and let them know that I was leaving the party. So I think you're going to see I know you're going to see a very weak report. But let me say this to people. Don't worry about what's in the campaign finance report today. It's going to change as we get closer and the primary's over. I don't have a primary, and I'm prepared to put a substantial amount of money of my own in this race.
Have you?
And
How much money? How much money will you put?
I don't want to put a number on it, but I will tell you it's a nice number.
Okay, so keeping an eye on all things coming out, but again, with an eye to the State of the Union this evening, wanted to get the former honorary campaign chair, Joe Trillo, now running for governor as an independent, here in studio. Anything else you want to tell viewers while you're here?
No, I just want to tell viewers that if you agree with some of the things that I say and what I stand for, I'd love to have you volunteer to work with the campaign. I'd love to have you contribute to the campaign, and you can do that by going on to TrilloForGovernor.com. That's my website. If you want to find out more information about me, remember, I am a fighter, and I have fought for the taxpayers for 16 years while I was in the General Assembly. I will continue to fight for the taxpayers. That's my mission. And I don't fight with a feather like everybody else that's in this race.
Joe Trillo, appreciate your taking the time to come in. I'm glad the streets were cleaned. I'll let you head on out.
Thank you.
Okay. Joe Trillo, former state rep, honorary campaign chair for President Donald Trump, now running as a governor, and running for governor as an independent, talking with him on the eve of the State of the Union and a big event he's got coming up on Friday. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with our last and final guest with some very big healthcare news that has the potential to shake up the industry.